Morning, Jeff. All right, it's 8 o'clock. We'll jump right into this. I want to thank you all for showing up for the webinar today. As you can tell, I am not Hope Medina. If I am, she's having a very, very bad hair day and makeup day. Hope is actually at the Midwest Energy Efficiency Conference up in Chicago, so she asked me to kick this off for us today. Truly appreciate you being here. Let's get this thing rolling and get going with our webinar. All right. So today we're going to talk about inspecting for the commercial compliance paths on the 2021 IECC. So, what you got to do is this is Hope's favorite phrase. You got to inspect what you expect. What does that mean? Well, that means as an inspector, we set our standards when we get out there. When we first show up on the job site, we want to make sure that we have all of our documentation there. We want to let the contractors and installers know that we're going to be looking for things to be installed per the manufacturer's installation instructions. We'll need to have those instructions on site as well so we can make a good and thorough inspection. And we're going to set the standard for what we're looking for. As far as is the film installed correctly over the top of the joints? Are they taped correctly? Are we using the proper tools? Those type of things are what we're starting out with and what we need to set right off the bat when we start our inspections. So with that, we want to make sure that we know where to start at. And when we're looking at where to start at, that starting spot is going to come from the plans. And the one thing that we always need is the information on the plans. C103.2, it's starting spot for the folks in the office doing plan reviews, and it's the starting spot for us out in the field when we're doing inspections. We need to know which compliance path we're looking at, how we're going to be inspecting, what we're going to be inspecting to, whether it's for prescriptive or alternative or a building trade-off. Without that information, we just can't do our job. So here you can see that we have a excerpt from a set of plans on a title page. And right up front, it tells us our energy compliance, we're using the performance path. It gives us what we have for our insulation values. It tells us what we have going on with the U factors. This one even goes so far as to tell us what's above code and what's not above code. Very nice. It's a great place to start. As inspectors, we know what's happening. Here you can see another one where it tells us that we have a multi-use building here. We're going to do the residential portion to the ERI and the commercial portion to the prescriptive R value method. Lets us know what we're looking for as far as our required continuous insulation and what's provided for the roofs, for the walls, the floors. Again, without this information, as an inspector, we wouldn't know what we were looking for. So, our compliance paths. We have a couple of different ways to get where we want to go to meet the energy compliance on the building. And as inspectors, we do need to know what's happening with this. We need to know whether we're doing the prescriptive R value, the U factor, C factor, F factor, or the component performance alternative on the plans and on the inspections. On the total building performance or the ASHRAE 90.1, and the component performance alternative, we have to have a report with this, whether that's a com check, a individual total building performance report, or the ASHRAE 90.1. These need to be submitted to us at the time of plan review, and we need to have them out in the field at the time of inspection. Our very first inspection, we need to have those documents on site. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do a proper inspection out there. So let's start off with the R value based method. This method is our bread and butter. This is what we most of us have cut our teeth on out of the energy code. You go straight to the book, and it tells us what we're looking for, what we have to have as a minimum as an assembly value. So it tells us that our walls need to have an R19 cavity or an R13.5 cavity and an R7.5 continuous. This is what we have going on, and the information for this is going to be on the plans. We have to meet the requirements of Table C402.1.3. We have to meet the requirements for 402.4 and 402.5.4 for our fenestration and for our air leakage for that fenestration. This is our most straightforward approach. One of the reasons why this is used is because it's very simple. We know that everything's on the plans. There are no trade offs. We come straight out of the book. We don't require any other specific reports on this. So, by that, I mean a com check for mechanical interior or exterior. They're not required, but hey, if they want to submit them, we will take them. It's a great way to make the plan review easier, and it's a great way to make the inspections easier. And we'll get to that here in a little bit, how a ComCheck can help us with the inspections. When we use this, we have to remember that we have to comply with C402 through C405 out of the tables for all of our insulation fenestrations. We need to comply with section C406, and we have to comply with C408 for commissioning. Now, C406 is the one that's got our additional efficiency credits on it. So we need to make sure that we have that on the plans as well, how we're getting those. Again, everything's on the plans. This is what you inspect to. The tools out there, there are tools out there that can assist with the mechanical interior lighting and exterior lighting inspections. What are those tools? Again, right off the bat, those com checks. They have inspection checklists on them. They tell us what we're looking for, how we're going to be doing those inspections. Just a quick little side note here. Does anybody recognize the person in this picture? He works for Shums and he's a great teacher. All right. If you think about it and get it, gold star for whoever comes up with who this is. So, okay. Well, we'll go back right quick. That is Mr. Andre High-End. This was taken when he was in the field working for a jurisdiction, doing those inspections. Always the consummate professional. All right, back to our instructing here. What we've got going on when we look at this for the installation component method, we want to make sure that our plans have what's happening and exactly where we're at on this. So on this one, you can see that we're in the right climate zone, that we're in Silverthorne here. Get my laser pointer up. So we've got the city, we're in Silverthorne, we're in the right climate zone 7. That lets us know that when we're looking at this as inspectors, we can verify the R values. Sometimes there's a printing error, sometimes a mistake. Unfortunately, as plans examiners, we're not always 100% perfect, but if we have any questions, we know exactly where to go in the book to find this. We can see what the insulation is here, what our floors are. We have the mass floors. We have the joists for our framing down there, our slab on grade. And then this is for group R. Then if we have anything other than group R, we hit the information down here. Very succinct. That lets us know that we probably have a multi-occupancy building here just by looking at those first set of plans and the data that's given to us. When we look at our roof envelope, we want roof information. Here's another excerpt from a set of plans. Tells us what we have going on. We're in climate zone 4, except marine. So we're looking for an R49 in there. In all of what we have happening on our detail, we can see that it gives us a R49 insulation. That matches what we have happening over here on the roof with our words. Right here's where we're looking at. Now, we do have something that we need to take a look at here. and that's this insulation above roof deck. They gave us a R35 continuous insulation above roof deck on the plans up here on number 1A and also on the bottom on number 1A. We need to make sure that those are not on the plans. Our detail does not show that, so that should not be on there. No confusion for anybody. Make sure that we're not accidentally putting that in as when we're out doing inspections. If we see an R35 up there, we're going to have to get some revisions taken care of for those plans. Any questions on the R factor method of compliance? All righty. With that, we're going to jump into the U factor, C factor, and F factor alternatives. This option uses the entire assembly mathematically. So we're going to put a value to each part of that assembly and what's happening with it, rather than just giving the assembly a lump sum R value. We have to have the components listed on there. We have to have our compliance with C4 table C402.4 and 402.54. This is again for our fenestration values and for our leakage. This this path usage really jumps into the nitty gritty on math. We want to make sure that we've got every little thing in there taken care of and noted on the plans. That our wall assembly gives us our air barrier and the U factor for that, the sheeting U factor, the U factor for our siding. Again, with this one, there's no trade offs. We have to go by the book. Everything's got to be on the plans, and we have to have documentation of those assembly values. So we need to have the calculations and the drawings showing us how we got to those U values for the walls and the assembly portions of the walls. Once again, no reports are required up front, but if they want to give us the com check for the interior lighting, the exterior lighting, mechanical lighting, we will absolutely take it. Just like the R value path, we need to make sure that we comply with 406 for our additional efficiency requirements. We also have to comply with C401 through C405. And as always, we need to make sure we get our commissioning on here. So everything again is on the plans. This is what you're going to inspect to. The extra tools for the com checks, for any type of calculations, are always advisable if we can get them, and use them out in the field to make sure things work correctly. Any questions on the C factor, F factor, U factor method? Then we're going to jump right into our component performance alternative option. So this is our twin building methodology here. We're going to do a reference design, and then we're going to do a proposed design. If the proposed design U factor and F factor is equal to or less than the sum of the reference design, it's considered compliant. With this, we're basically looking at our com checks or software that do the same thing as com checks do. So it's by the book, except for we do have trade-offs allowed for the thermal envelope. We can raise or lower our insulation value in a wall by offsetting it with higher fenestration or maybe more insulation in the floor system of the structure. We need to make sure that we have that envelope compliance certificate up front. That has to come in with the plans, and it has to be on site for inspections. Same thing with our mechanical and interior lighting and exterior lighting compliance certificates. Those have to be on site. We still need to comply with C402 and C405. We absolutely have to comply with the C406 for those additional efficiency requirements, and commissioning is not an option. C408 must be taken care of. So with this one, it's a little bit different. We still need all the information on the plans, but the plans get that information verification from the compliance certificate. We can go to that compliance certificate if there's questions. Maybe we missed a wall installation value. Everywhere it says R21, but on this wall it says it's an R19. We can verify that on the insulation or on the compliance certificate, and go off of that to make sure it's correct. We should have it on the plans corrected, but we can make that jump over there and verify what we have going on. Again, these compliance tools are great because they give us some checklists. We'll get to those checklists a little bit later, as I mentioned before, but these are great things to help out with inspections. Here we can see our com check, what we have happening, and how everything's going to be looking. So when we're doing our inspections, we're going to start off with our roof. We're going to verify that we have a continuous R30 up there. See that that's there. We're going to take a look at our walls and verify that we have our cavity and a continuous insulation installed. So this is kind of like the cliff notes for the plans. It lets us know what's going on, gives us a quick summary of what we're looking for, and then we can go to the plans and verify the details, what's supposed to be there, whether it's rock, wool, fiberglass, that type of information will come out of the plans. This gives us our total R values. We always want to make sure that the inspection checklist is on site and use it to its fullest capabilities. So we have a couple of ways to work with things. That's all of our prescriptive performance paths. Any questions on those? All right. With that, we're going to jump into the total building performance, and we have to comply with Section 407 out of the 21 IACC. This is again the twin building method. We have our reference model, and then we have our proposed design. We want to make sure that our proposed design complies with C407 for the trade-off values and what can be traded. At the end of the day, the annual energy cost determines the compliance, and we can use that either as the total building or the cost per square foot. So on the compliance report, we need to have the address of the building. We need to have the inspection checklist documenting the building component characteristics that complies with C407. We need to know who did this. What's the name of the individual submitting the compliance report? And we need to have the name and version of the compliance software tool. All of that has to be on that report that's submitted to us with all the calculations and everything that goes with it. There are a bunch of different reports we can use. Everybody can individualize these reports. There's not really one standard methodology to this. So this takes a little bit more time to read through and understand what's happening. But we do have to have the same things on there. We need to know what the report is. We need to know where it's located at and what we're looking at. So we'll take a look at this one here. This is an inspection checklist for the mandatory compliance at 21 IACC. That's right up here. Tells us what's going on. We're going to start off with our air leakage at a C402.5. Again, if you were with us last week and we were doing you read the reports, you know what we have happening here. It tells us that our continuous air barrier is going to be provided per C402.5.1, and it's going to tell us we can find that in the spec book, 18018, 113, and 072500. Those are going to tell us what is happening with the insulation or with the air barrier there, how it's installed, and the methodologies to make those details work correctly. You can also see on here that we have stuff that's not being addressed. So right here, our loading dock, not applicable. Don't have one in the building. If you show up as an inspector and you find a loading dock door, you may want to question that. See if we have the right set of plans, right set of documents for the checklist. And if not, then we need to add that to the plans. You can see here that our vestibules, they're provided at the building entrances per C402.5.9, and we can find that on that sheet A1-1.1. Like I said before, this is like old school Cliff Notes, or let's say an AI summary of the plans. It goes through and lets us know very quickly what we have, gives us the highlighted areas, and gives us where we need to go to get more in depth on it. In here, we also went from air leakage to the HVAC. So this is still part of that whole mandatory requirements, what we have going on for our controls of the HVAC system. where we're at with ventilation and exhaust. Do we have an economizer on this? What do you guys think? Is there an economizer on this project? Okay. We're saying, Troy, just answer the question. You know what you're doing. So the answer is no, right here. Or excuse me, I messed that one up. I was looking for the economizer fault detection and diagnostics. Are they required? The answer to that is no. Thought I was smarter than I was. Sorry, folks. A little early in the morning. I think I need more Pepsi on this one. We've got our fan controls in here. We've got the insulation requirements for our HVAC construction. We continue onward. You can see that this addresses everything in the building. We have our water service heating here. We have any economizers on that? The answer is no, there's no water recovery units. We've got our heated water supply piping and the calculations for it. Heat traps. This is one of those that when you're doing inspections, this is a great thing. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees and we forget about something. We're chasing down insulation. I did this on a big project, got stuck on the insulation being incorrect, ran around noting it in a couple of different places. I was getting ready to walk out and looked at my inspection list here and went back and found that we were missing a heat trap on our hot water. So these are great reminders, good checksums to get through the inspections and get a complete one the first time. Nothing sucks like going out and doing an inspection and coming back and seeing something that you missed that should have been caught the first time. Say, I'm sorry, but this really needs to happen. So here we can see that those were the mandatories. Now this is our inspection checklist here. This is where we're going through for the mandatory compliance. We've got our HVAC, we've got our skylights, we've got the air leakage. And on this one, we actually have a page where or a section on the page where we can verify this. We can initial and date it, we can put a check mark in it, make notes. Those are huge, again, out in the field to sit down, especially if you have a lot of items that you're working on the project, and to be able to go through that inspection and get them all put on the correction notice for the contractors. It's a great way to keep things organized. Here's our checklist for the proposed design, lighting, and HVAC. Again, the information's got right here for us for our interior lighting. It tells us that the standard says it's 0.45 watts per square foot. Our proposed design is 0.285 watts per square foot. And we're going to find that on those sheets there. Uh, Love it. Being able to just turn to those pages, verify what's happening is a great way to do our inspections to keep things up and running. We can see in our heating system that we have both natural gas and electric, what they are, where we're looking for them at, where they're located at. So in the amenities building, we have package terminal heat pumps and we have a split heat pump. The design reference was the package terminal heat pump, and our proposed is the split heat pump with supplemental electric resistance heating. It lets us know what we're looking for, where to find it on those detail sheets. Gives us the same thing with our cooling systems, what we have happening here as well, and our service water heating, where we're going to find that information at, and what the capacity is, the efficiency of it, and the capacity and efficiency of our fixtures. When we're doing inspections with the com checks, our com checks have the envelope, the mechanical, the interior lighting, the exterior lighting certificates, and they have a lot of information on here that helps us with those inspections. Again, when we start out with these, we want to make sure that we have the original certificate as well as the checklist. And on that certificate, just by rote, just like we do with the plans, we make sure that we have the right codes on it, that we have the right climate zone, that we have the right project type, that we're doing the right construction. So if this is an addition and alteration, you see new construction on here, we've got issues. Down here, we can see what's going on with our mechanical systems, how we're looking for efficiencies, our cooling, our tenant water heaters. That information's on that certificate. And when we're out in the field looking at that, we want to verify that the heating and cooling equipment is installed, the correct ones. How many of you have showed up and you're supposed to have a Ream RTU unit and you end up with a Larson or something else? Makes a big difference. They may not have the same capabilities, the same performances. So we need to verify that. The fan systems, got to make sure those are correct. Learned about fans from my chief building inspector, who was a mechanical guy, and he also sent me over to the electrical folks to be able to verify and read the nameplates on the motors. So those are great things to remember when we're out there. We want to get those correct. And obviously that the water heating equipment's correct. If it's a gas water heater on the certificate and we have electric installed in there, we're going to need to make some changes. Our interior lighting compliance certificate. So with this, it tells us what we have happening as far as number of fixtures, watts per fixture. Does it pass? Does it not pass? We need to make sure we have this as well as our inspection checklist. And one of the great things about these certificates is learning to count. When we take a look, sorry about that, got a happy clicker finger going on there. We take a look over here, we can see that we're looking for 125 fixtures of fixture C and 45 of fixture D. Get to the plans, take a look, or get out in the field, start counting. Do we have a total of 145 of those? Or 125 of those fixture Ds? Do we have a total of the 45 fixture Ds? Make sure they match. That's the easiest way to work and verify compliance. Now, I apologize. I should have said this up front. I am not going to be teaching a lot of high level things. You guys are all inspectors and have been for a long time. Some of this may be a review for you. We're just hitting the basics here to help out and make a reminder of there's easier ways to do this sometimes. So, want to get that out there. If you have any questions, glad to help out. But you guys are the experts out in the field. If you've been doing this for a while, hopefully we touch on something here that'll give you an extra tool to put in the pouch. With that, we go to our exterior lighting. Again, it's got the information on here. We want to make sure it's correct. We want to make sure that we count and that we have not only the certificate, but we have the inspection checklist. Here's the inspection checklist from ComCheck. With the inspection checklist, we can see that it tells us what we're looking for. The section that we started off with, C103.2, the plans and specifications are there. It gives us the ability to say it complies or does not, and we can put comments over here. So with this, we're looking at everything that's going on. As an inspector, we can verify that those information's not only on the plans, but on the site, and use this to verify that as well. One of these days, they're going to come up with a quick button for that laser pointer. You can see here again, the section, what we're talking about. And we can write our comments in here for the next inspector or for ourselves to remind ourselves what's happening on here. In here, we're looking at our footing and foundation inspections. We're going to take a look and see if the exterior insulation is protected against damage, sunlight, and moisture when landscaping and equipment maintenance activities. We can tell if it is or isn't, and we can make a note that says, hey, by the front door, the entry over here, there's an issue. Everything else complies. Again, this is something that helps us with our correction notices when we leave those for the contractors, and he helps give us a reminder in the future for the inspection when we return to re-inspect what exactly we're looking for, save time and energy instead of having to redo the whole inspection. Here's our rough framing inspection. One of the things that we want to make sure on here is that, or the we have on here is that rough inspection. We'll also have some for final inspection for the building as well. So it gives us what's happening, where we're at, our vertical fenestration, solar heat gain coefficients, our U factors for the opaque swinging doors and non-swinging doors associated with the building thermal envelope. Again, we have the code sections on here. We have the ability to say yes or no. We have the ability to write down what we've seen. Our plumbing rough-in inspections, we have that. All the information's on there. Here we can see what's going on with the mechanical rough-in. So it's going to take us right through. Each one of our com checks is going to have a checklist to go with it for the inspection checklist. And again, we're going to have roughs and finals on it. So we can see that we have our outdoor air exhaust systems have motorized dampers per C403.7.7. So one of the things to remember, folks, is if you see it on here, it should be out in the field. This stuff is designated by our designers, our architects, our engineers. When they put this information in here, they're telling us that it's going to be on the job site and it's going to be on the plans. So we need to make sure if we're going through and checking this off, that we have that equipment out there. It gives us some of the basics, like our equipment efficiency has been verified, that the large diameter fans were installed correctly per ACMA 230. So these again are the great little highlights and reminders to make sure that you get that first inspection as thorough as possible. We're going to continue on with mechanical rough-in inspections. Do we On this one we have the exhaust air energy recovery systems meeting table 403.7.4, parenthetical 1 and parenthetical 2. We know that we have some kitchen exhaust systems in here. We have our air economizers, that we have the system is capable of relieving excess outdoor air during the air economizer operation and to prevent overpressurizing. This is all things that when we're doing those inspections are great to have just as little ticks. Keep it going. Come on. My pointer is getting a little finicky. I apologize. Rough and electrical inspections. This comes from that interior com check that we used, and we're going to take a look and verify that we meet everything on here. When we do our energy inspections, we kind of cross the trades a little bit, so we want to make sure we know what we're looking for and that they're all correctly placed and that they are in the right place on the plans as well. So our occupancy sensors, the sequence of events and controls are right here. We know what's happening in that direction. We can verify the control sensors and that they're working correctly. Down here, we can see that each area not served by occupancy sensors per C40521.1.1 have time switch controls. So that's another one where we can see that we have two different types of controls and verify that and that they're in the right rooms per the plans. So here we go. On here, we've got our daylighting controls that are independent of the general area and the lighting per section 402.5.3. We have additional interior lighting allowed for special functions that are automatically controlled and separated from the general lighting. We have the automatic lighting controls for the exterior lighting is installed. Controls will be daylight controlled, set and based on the business operation time of day and reduced connected power by 30%. This information is great when we're doing those inspections. This is for the interior and the exterior. So it's one-stop shopping. We have our code compliances, what our trade-offs are, and whether or not it works. So do we have any questions about the electrical inspection sheets, about the envelope inspection sheets, about how to use them, comparisons, what happens if this doesn't match the plans? Okay. Well, I'm going to answer that one because I've had that happen a time or two. So I've been out in the field. I've been looking at the inspection checklist, and I have a automatic lighting control on the checklist that's not on the plans. With that, I take it to the contractor, make sure that we have those controls installed correctly, that we have the details for the installation of them, and that they're put in per the manufacturer's details. And then I would request a plan revision so we know that they're correct and we have accurate documents. Some folks will be able to redline those plans, just write in the field that, hey, per the checklist, this time control was installed here and good to go that way. So there's a couple different ways of handling that. Carl's got a question here. Does the certification of the checklist by the architect or engineer of record need to be addressed? We really do need to have the signature of the person who's doing this and that they're happy with it at the plan review. As inspections, that's the certification that's not needed to be recertified, Carl. So getting that information up front makes it a whole lot easier. So that way, if we have a question, we know who to call. The contractor knows who to call, and we're on our way. Hope that answered your question, sir. So here we have our installation inspections. Again, this comes from our building envelope. So if you have questions about this and you're looking for data on this, cross-reference back to that compliance certificate in the building envelope, and that's where we'll find that information. When we're looking at this, it gives us our roof assembly meets the minimal thermal resistance installed between roof and framing in a continuous fashion or on the roof assembly as stipulated in 402.1.3. Requirements for above deck insulation, minimum thickness, suspended ceiling, staggered joints, and skylight curbs will be met. That's a great one. When you're out doing that roof inspection, I don't know how many times I've missed the skylight curbs. Don't know what it is. It just happens to be one of my natural blind spots that I've tried to correct. This checklist keeps me on point on that. So it lets us know what we're looking for on our floor insulation. It gives us radiant panels associated for the transfer of designed for heat transfer from the panel surfaces to the occupants or indoor space. That's a great one to know. Reading these things takes a little bit of time, but it is a great way to familiarize yourself with the project. As soon as you get out there, you can ask the questions of where they're at and have the contractor point them out. So that way you're good to go and you're not wandering all over the building looking for them. I told you we would have a final inspection, and here it is. You can see right here, this is our final inspection checklist. This is what we're going to be looking for everything for compliance through here. Did we furnish the operating and maintenance manuals for the HVAC systems to the building owner within 90 days of the system acceptance? Do we have a thermal envelope certificate supplied and completed by an approved third party? When we get out and do our inspections, this is part of that commissioning. This lets us know that the certain points on that commissioning have been completed, and we can verify what's there. Here's one. We have a big door going in here, or a big window that has it says operable openings greater than 40 square feet will be interlocked with heating and cooling systems to set back the set point temperature within 10 minutes of opening. Great one to look for. So you can go out and open that door or window up, continue with your inspection, and then see if the thermostat is kicked back to that set point correctly. Do we have the weather seals installed on the loading docks? The HVAC system's equipment capacity does not exceed the calculated loads. Again, these are all great things for our inspections, for our final inspection to make sure of. And these are things that we're double checking on the commissioning. This should be written down in the commissioning as well, but we want to make sure that it's functioning the way it says it was and the way it's supposed to be per the plans and per the certificate compliance here. Our thermostatic controls have their 5-degree dead band, that we have temperature controls with set point overlap restrictions. Automatic controls are set back to the heat for the 55 degrees and 85 degrees for the 7-day clock, the 2-hour occupant override, and the 10-hour backup. All things on those inspections that we need to know about. We continue on. You can see this goes back to our plumbing, which is in our mechanical comm check, that the heat traps were installed on non-circulating systems, that our exterior power lighting is consistent. We need to make sure that we meet that verification. We are talking about commissioning here. So in the commissioning, that's C408. Right here, we have our C408. This is where we're going to start the commissioning on this specific report. We're going to make sure that again, the operation and maintenance documents were provided, that the documents cover the manufacturer's information, the specifications, the programming, the procedures. We have a means of illustrating to the owner how the building equipment and systems are intended to be installed, maintained, and operated. That commissioning is a huge requirement. Without it, we can't say that the building is performing the way it's designed. And not doing this as a prescriptive path, we need to be able to verify that. So we need to have that commissioning completed to verify that the building's compliant with the energy code. Did we get our preliminary commissioning report in, completed and certified by the registered design professional or the approved agency? That's 408.2.4. Again, did we get our economizers tested? So with this checklist, as an inspector, we can go through and verify our building has been commissioned completely, or hey, we're still missing the commissioning plan, the original commissioning plan. Well, I've got all these other things, but I just don't have that original commissioning plan. Need to have that out here so we can get that finished up. Did we supply as-built HVAC drawings within 90 days of the system acceptance? That's part of that commissioning requirement. Got to tell you, when we first started doing commissioning, this was a lifesaver for me because going through the book and reading this and making a list out of there became a little bit difficult for me. And this made for a great way to put a checklist together and know that this is specific for the project. We are good to go. So, again, more final commissioning. We have our lighting system requirements. Did our controls meet? Did our daylighting controls get calibrated correctly? So, one of the things to remember too, the color coding on here on this com check: white, high impact; purple, medium impact; yellow, low impact. These are the ones that we want to make sure if we're going to give away the farm on something, probably a yellow box is best to think about. White box, not one we want to jump into. So when we look at this on 401.2.1, we need to remember that we must comply with the chosen design of the project. The highlighted section 406 only applies to a project going with any of the options for the prescriptive path. 406, we said this up front a bunch of times. What is it? It's our credentials, our extra efficiency credits. That's what we're looking for. We need to make sure that we have this on the plans and it's on the documentation. As we all know, new buildings require 10 additional points. Existing buildings are 5 points. There's different ways to get it. They're based upon the occupancy tables. So you want to make sure that you use the climate zone correctly and the occupancy for what we have going on. So a office would be in New Mexico, 3 or 4 in the climate zones, and we would look at the table that has B occupancies. What are our credits? What are our bonus credits here? There's a bunch of different ways to get them. We can get credits for the HVAC performance, either a 5 or a 10 point credit, depending upon the efficiency of it. We can get the lighting power credit. We can take a look at that lighting power credit. In some instances, that may be the only thing we need to do. If we have enough lights in there, it may cover our full 10 points based upon the calculations. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this as an inspector. That we have the enhanced lighting controls. That's another credit. The on-site, so solar photovoltaic, wind generation. Do we have any renewable power on site? That gets a credit. Outdoor air systems dedicated for the HVAC system. That gets a credit. High efficiency water heaters. Those work well. The enhanced envelope performance. So we beefed up our insulation. We beefed up our infiltration. Right here, the reduced air infiltration. That's a credit. Where not required by 405.2, include an energy monitoring system in compliance with section 406.10. So if it's not required of the building and you put in that energy monitoring system, you can get credits for it, going above and beyond. You can include the fault detection and diagnostic system per 403.2.3 and get the credits from 406. And finally, if you have a commercial kitchen, efficient equipment in there will get you credits. Here you can see on the ComCheck, we're looking at the credits right here. We were required to have 10. We have 31. We used high efficiency lights in there. That took care of all of our additional credits for the whole building. Nice to have that. So, quick question. What compliance path are we using on this document? All right. Um, I'll go ahead and answer this one. This one here does not have a compliance path registered. It does show all of our R values, so we could make the assumption that it's prescriptive R value. That's correct, Carl. Prescriptive R value is what I would call this one, and continue on the way. I would also make sure that when I made that assumption as a plans examiner, that I called and verified with the designer that that's what we were actually doing. And as an inspector, if I saw this and didn't have a note from the plans examiner, I'd probably give them a quick call and make sure I'm on the right page. So here we've got a building. This was one of our first pictures, but wanted to show this one again. So they're telling us that we're going to put this in here per the 21 International Energy Conservation Code. Then they say, hey, guess what? On our S2, we're doing this as the prescriptive path. And we can see that our numbers are down here for the prescriptive path to verify compliance. But what they did tell us up here is for the R2, we're going to do this for the energy rating index path. Got a little problem with that because energy rating index is for R3s, townhomes, and single family attached dwellings only. It's not for a apartment. So they would need to give us something else here. What compliance path are we using on this one? Right here lets us know performance path. Great job, John. Great job, Carl. Got these going on here. Again, we need to have that information as inspectors. If we don't have that information in the field, we're not going to be inspecting to the right thing. So it's critical that that's on there. Do we have any questions today? All right. Think about your questions. Go through our closing spiel here. Got a survey coming up. It's going to take about 5 minutes, folks. Do us a favor. Please fill that survey out. It helps me become a better instructor, lets us know what topics you would like us to get new webinars for. So we truly appreciate you taking time to do that. It gives us the ability to get you what you need and what you would like to have. Here's Hope's information. I put my information on the email in the chat. Please give us a call, send us an email, let us know what's happening. If you have any questions, we do have the helpline. We're glad to answer those questions. A whole team of will the PDF yes, Jerry, I will get that PDF sent out to you via email. So that way you can have it and we're good to go. I apologize. I cut myself off there. We do have the New Mexico helpline. We're glad to answer any questions on there on any code questions. We have a team of professionals who are waiting to hunt down the answers for you if we don't know it. So, with that, I'm going to give you back a little bit of your day and get you up and running. I truly appreciate you guys. Appreciate you taking the time, uh, joining in. Let's see. Looks like all right, Carl. We'll write. I'll write that down right now for skylights and commercial construction additions to commercial construction. Got it. Thank you so much. Thanks again, everybody. I hope you have a great day. I hope everyone enjoys it. Appreciate you being here. Wait around for another minute or two to see if we have any other questions. Okay, folks. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope the weather's good and all your inspections go the way they're supposed to. Remember, inspect what you expect. Have a great day, everybody. Gonna end the webinar. Lee, I'll also make sure that I send you that PDF so you have that as well. And we'll get this up on the website here as fast as we can. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day, everybody. Bye bye.